All right. Welcome, everyone, to the December 4th meeting of the Scio Environmental Sustainability Task Force. And with that, um, any additions or changes to our agenda?
None for me.
Okay, then we'll just, based on consensus, move forward. Um, and we have communications and correspondence from Renee Smallwood. And in response to that, I asked either if Andy or Brandon could come to our meeting and just kind of talk a little bit about the ordinance, how it gets enforced, and perhaps we can talk briefly about some things that we might do to promote education about it. Hey, Charlie, welcome. So, with that, I'm just going to hand it over to Brandon so we can kind of limit the time that you're. Thank you for coming, and this is sort of outside your office hours, so appreciate it. So,
No,
welcome.
that's okay. No,
Do you know people here? Do we need to do
I do.
introductions?
I know a few names and a few faces. So for those that I haven't met yet, I look forward to it, and I'm sure we'll cross paths here soon somewhere in Scio Township. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Good evening. I just want to talk a few things about where we're going and the things that we've completed so far with the open burning rules and regulations. Within the last year and a half, we've compiled all our codes from the IFC 2015 and now the newly adopted IFC 2021 code book to come up with a compliance rules that we have that are posted on our website throughout the township. So there's been some big changes. There's been some minor changes. There's been changes where we've tried to, get compliant with whatever the state is asking. We feel that we've got there based on the IFC, the International Fire Code that the township has adopted. Some of the things that we're dealing with now is I think our biggest drive is educating the public and the community. I know we have put things in newsletters. We have an extensive website. We field phone calls from those that actually want to make a phone call and be better educated about what we're doing and the rules that we have set forth. We still have that challenge. We still find every day that folks didn't understand that these rules are in place. For instance, no leaves or grass clippings allowed to be burned anywhere in the township. Those that didn't know that they weren't allowed to burn anything within 1,400 feet of the city of Ann Arbor or the city of Dexter. Those rules are all on our website, and it's we hope that time and will better educate the community. And for those that that want to reach out to us, we're here to help with answers. Um, I know I've had communication with other board members in the township to how do we relay the fact about recycling is a big thing. Where do we want to how can we notify everybody that if they have the opportunity to have waste pickup at their driveway. Um, I'm open to a lot of options. As far as where do we want to advertise? How do we want to go? How do we want to publicize this? Um, and to what extent do we hope that we reach those that want to listen? So speakers off, Jan.
You're
Yep,
muted.
there we go. Yeah, I think one of the things we were looking at doing, different options, and one I think that could work for the fire department, and it costs a little bit, but would be some sort of in the tax mailing. We've talked about we've already done it in the newsletter, so obviously not everyone reads their newsletter, even though that goes to every single resident. It doesn't go to, I don't know if the newsletter goes to businesses. I don't know that mailing list actually. But anyway, we could do something that would be, everyone that got a tax bill, which would include tenants and residents and businesses. That would be an opportunity And then one of the other things I was thinking about is some sort of flyer that the firefighters, one, educate all the firefighters about the curbside pickup, for yard waste and so forth, the basics on these are the rules. This is a QR code. You can go to the website. And then also some, Molly's been working on some well-researched health um, issues around burning, etc. And, so those are just some basic ideas that I had for that. Uh, and because, any change in ordinance and so forth is basically up to the Board of Trustees, um, handling violations. I mean, obviously you want to do education first, and it's uh, the folks that might have multiple complaints. Do you want to talk a little bit about there's the ordinance, but then there's also the nuisance
Sure,
ordinance
sure. So,
too.
so the fire
Yeah.
department has the rules based on, you know, your distance and what you're allowed to burn and those type of things, permits and things. Nuisance is a separate thing, and that's through Keith DeSwan at the code enforcement at the township hall. Scio Township has a nuisance ordinance, and it's very large, and there's a lot of opportunity in there. At the end of the day, the Board of Trustees, whether they choose to change that nuisance ordinance, amend it, make it less specific, more specific, and that is up to them. But that's the balancing act that we have as the fire department opposed to the township code enforcement. We have a code, we can enforce that as far as, that parameter of where you're burning, what you're burning, how you're burning, where you're burning, opposed to, you know, complaints and things of that nature. We can handle those things, but in the end of the day, it's code compliance, and that's probably through nuisance ordinances and things of that nature. So,
hmm hmm Okay. Um, yeah. Other thoughts from folks? I mean, do you want to go just the basics? I mean, just what needs a permit, what doesn't, and that
sure.
that might be helpful too.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I think the community still doesn't know is that, there's a big difference between prescribed burns and in your right to burn as a resident and a homeowner. Prescribed burns are those that are done by third-party trained professional companies that, work through the DNR and those other resources. But they come to us, they give us an application that has their mapping, when they're going to burn, their licensure, their credentials, all that stuff, and we sign off on that. And there's really they kind of have their own wing based on some acts, that Michigan has adopted. They can kind of do their own thing. They give us a guideline of where they want to be, and then they go out and burn professionally, and they do a very good job at it. This is more of your wildland habitat restoration, your conservation things. Even homeowners do it for property restoration for the wildlife, their flowers, their road plants and things of that nature. So then you get into the residential homeowner burns. We have an open burn. That code is pretty specific as far as what you're allowed to burn, the size of the actual burn pile, which would decipher whether you are classified as an open burn or actually a recreational size. Property sizes and things of that nature. But this is where, you have storm damage, your trees blows over, you're doing silvicultural work to your property, you're cleaning things up, you're getting rid of pest control and some other things. That open burning, we think of bigger things. But even in our policy, if it meets criteria that's smaller and within certain sizes, the recommendation is to recycle it. Okay, so I think of open burning as, you're doing stumps or you're doing logs or you got windfalls and some bigger things. You go into bonfires, that shrinks the property, it shrinks what you're allowed to burn. Still, non-construction, wild material. But the bonfire thing is for ceremonial purposes. And then unfortunately, the way the code's written is that's an open-ended conversation. You can, what is a ceremonial purpose? That's the argumentative part. Where you get into the recreational size fires, that's something within 3 feet to 2 foot in size. So we think of like our solo stoves or something smaller than that. something roughly there in that size, and that has a distance requirement away from structures that are combustible. Um, again, it's for wood, it's for twigs. We're not promoting tires and lumber, two by fours, and old decking and things of that nature. That stuff doesn't fly, and it's spelled out pretty well in the codes as far as what we can and cannot burn.
Mhm.
Well, Brandon, I'd like your perspective on some specific correspondence that was sent to us from Renee.
Mm-hmm.
She mentions, for example, great outdoors as burning material that was brought
Mm-hmm.
in from off-site and that it was green
Sure,
material, creating a smoke hazard. She also identifies a couple of nuisance calls where, according to her account, nothing was done, even if the neighbors reported that they were going to be made sick by the smoke. I'd just like to get your perspective on
sure, sure. So let's touch base with the Great Outdoors commercial development. That gentleman has not burned. That company has not burned since last spring. Since we addressed this, he pretty much says, "All right, I'm done." Okay. It was hard to say there was no rules or code saying that he couldn't bring that stuff in. It was vegetation. That's all it was plant trimming, spring cleanup, fall cleanup, limbs from snow damage, things of that nature. Um, where Eagle talks about commercial waste and things, we reached out to them, and it wasn't their definition of saying because you're a commercial company, you can't bring vegetation in. It was you can't burn the mattresses that you can't sell. Okay, so their commercial definition was different than what we were seeing for Great Outdoors. Regardless of the fact, working with Great Outdoors, having conversations with them, they have quit. We haven't had a burn from them that we know of since spring. And we don't have any documentation of runs that have been there. I think we have
Mhm.
in the area that we thought might have been generated from there, but it was not. It was unfounded, probably someone in the residential part that wraps around it. So I think they've pretty much stopped the burning on site. They're going to dumpster it all off. Your other question, Jeff, was to what part?
There were a couple of residential complaints
Mm-hmm.
where the neighbors complained that the smoke was going to make them sick.
Okay,
And there was a response, but no action was taken.
sure. Without those reports in front of me, I can't verify or say what was done. I can tell you from 25 years experience that I have dealt with these types of calls numerous times every year. And a lot of times it puts the fire department in like a mediation type position to where, person calls because they don't like it, person burns even though they have the right. How do we make it work with both? If if they're burning without the right space, without whatever they're burning, wind direction, things of that nature, we asked to have them put it out. Let's just make the issue stop. More times than not, they do. If they were, let me back up, Jeff. The nuisance part of that is like what I said earlier, where it comes into play with code enforcement. Um, where does it become a nuisance code enforcement opposed to this person has the right to burn in their property? If that
Mhm.
makes sense. Um,
Yeah, so that would be the code enforcement person and not the fire department,
correct,
basically. It was a
correct.
nuisance call.
I know that our staff is out there better educating the community. Yes, here's our rules, here's our paperwork that we have. You called in for a burn permit, you did everything right, but the wind direction is pitching this way, and somebody has their windows open. I agree with the person that called. If it's a nuisance to them, they shouldn't have to deal with that. But Mr. Homeowner, I understand you think you have the right, but this is here, and then that's when it gets to the next level. If we can't talk them into, putting it out with extinguishment just to be the better person in the community, then we have to go the route of code enforcement. And unfortunately, we have to catch them in the act. That person has to report. We don't drive around looking for smoke coming out of people's backyards. We're
Mhm.
reactive in nature.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I just there are a couple things that it sounds like we can do, and that is one, I mean, these are sort of the categories I see. The health issues around burning, right? the ordinance, what's legal, what's not legal, the what a nuisance is, and how that's separate from the fire department enforcement, and then options because, like the great outdoors, all that stuff should have been taken to Denali, and they have they have yard waste composting. Yeah, it costs something, but that would be the climate smart thing to do, right? And so I think there are some things that we can do to put together, a friendly educational handout that you can have that also the code enforcement folks can have that, sort of deals with these topics. So there can be some point education and hopefully it can, we can get it approved through the Board of Trustees as a communication that can go to residents. It also can be a little flyer that, can be handed out at City Hall. And then maybe if we can find some dollars for it, I forget, we priced it out. It, I think it, because it's like 4,000 or more. It's a lot of copies to go in the tax, but maybe, the summer tax bill would be a good opportunity to, because that's rolling into fall, right? That might be a good, another education point as far as planning. And we could probably maybe work with, the Board of Trustees and the fire department on funding something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be a very beneficial collaboration between the
Okay.
entities. Yeah, yeah, something we can all
Okay.
draft up and you can hand out, we can hand out. It's going to
Hmm.
take a minute to educate the community. I mean, this fall
Yeah.
alone, the amount of people that called to burn, and we said, "What are you burning?" They go, "Leaves." Well, you can't do that anymore. Well, what do you mean?
Hmm.
And and it's amazing how many people just don't know. And but that was something
Hmm.
that the board approved, and we have put our foot down on. And
Hmm. Yeah. And actually some state, requirements
yeah,
too.
the state
Yeah.
requirement was pretty much the big one. But
Hmm.
but the state also put it back on us as a municipality, saying it's really up to you. We
Hmm.
don't have the time to force all these. They're
Right.
working top of the state and up, less dense areas. For Scio Township, they said it's up to your board of trustees, and the board ruled this saying that we will not allow leaves or
Hmm.
grass clippings. Okay,
Hmm.
so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. Any other thoughts, folks?
Seems to me we're on the right track.
Okay.
I think it's a fine start.
Mhm.
I don't know that it specifically addresses Renee's what Renee is looking for.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't think that we as a task force can satisfy what she's looking for. That's going to have to be in the end, a policy decision approved by the Board of Trustees.
Hmm.
And I don't know that this task force has the mission to recommend a policy change or not. Perhaps we can talk about that in the future.
Yeah, I think just from a process standpoint, definitely we can, check in with the Board of Trustees, see if they're planning on doing anything more, how they're handling it. But because it's a general ordinance and not a zoning ordinance, we really have more in our path is through Planning Commission. So I think there are some things that Planning Commission can recommend around solid waste ordinances and some of those things, but yeah, but I think, the role that we really hold is the education and advocacy for climate smart practices. And
Certainly, we can
obviously
encourage,
composting is better than burning, and
obviously,
any,
and
yeah.
we can encourage that
Hmm.
over burning. We can encourage the alternatives for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also, yeah, provide some good information to that the fire
Yes.
department can use, compliance officer, and also see if we can't get something out in in a different format than the newsletter. Yeah. Bob.
I was going to say that Brandon, you've led me to look at the website, and I do see it on there under the fire department, but it's kind of buried. And I know that Jan was talking about maybe we could get a flyer put out somewhere somehow. But Jan, what do you think if we were to, I know we put banners up,
Mm-hmm.
and if we did something on that order and linked it to the fire department's website or the location on the Scio website that has the fire department's information,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it would flag people to take a look. But
I
that's just
think,
if you go on the website.
yeah, and they have, they rotate the banner stuff, but it was up there.
Ah,
Mary had it up there during the fall when it was, when people are most likely to burn. We should probably put it up again in the spring when, again, people are most likely to burn. Um,
and I'm on the
and
website often,
yeah.
but I never saw that. So,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah, I did see it up a couple times, but there's a lot of what shall we say, competition. But I'll
right.
talk to her too. That's another thing, a banner, spring and fall.
And I'll work with Terry Suave, our admin. She
Hmm.
she kind of controls our web base, for where, we just kind of give
Hmm.
her a lead and she runs with it. So
Uh-huh.
she'll be a great resource to bring in on how we get this to, I don't know, Bob, like more pop, get it so it's highly visible, something short and sweet that
Hmm.
draws people in to want to take a look. So I think that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
And I think both Terry and Mary use, I don't know if Terry uses Nextdoor, but certainly the Facebook page, just
Right,
reinforce those things
Sure.
um,
right.
out out in social media. Hmm.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Facebook page lingers. That's a good
Hmm.
point.
Hmm. Hmm.
You see old publications up there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, but I think spring and fall is, and I guess Brandon, if there are any other times that people tend to burn, but hit the biggies. Hmm.
Yeah, I would probably say spring and fall are probably our hot times. In the summers we get some too. Our challenge then is during drought sessions and things when there's state of droughts of emergencies put on and things of that nature, trying to notify the folks that they can't do it then. Again, that's up to us, whether we adopt a different recording. I would love to utilize that sign out in front, but since I've been there, we haven't done anything but shown the clock on it.
Yeah.
But hopefully maybe in the future we can get some, because we got a lot of traffic and a lot of people could see something.
Hmm.
So I,
Hmm.
Is
I
that
think
a
we have some,
smart,
I think we have some avenues. Yeah, we just
Hmm.
get there.
is that a smart sign or is it just,
I don't think so.
I don't either. I don't either.
Yeah, Bob, I've never seen it do anything besides the clock. Rumor has it there's something we can plug in to change it, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think that has to do with the Scio sign ordinance, frankly.
It could very well be, but
Just an FYI, I think it is. I don't think you can have
right.
that kind of sign in Scio.
I know we're in conversations right now with architects in regards to what our intentions are for Station 2 off of Wagner. I think
Hmm.
because there's an ordinance and a sign ordinance right now in place on what we can do and what we can't do, I think right now we're building a pad for the future hopes that we can put something up there to address community news and things of that nature. It can be done.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Anything else? Well, I think the website and the social media is good too. Maybe we can do some consistent messaging there. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
and
good.
like on your website and on the SIO website, when it's a no burn kind of thing, in the summertime, there can be some sort of a notice that, is up on both websites. It goes on the Facebook pages,
Mhm,
etc. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. I think that could work out. And our informal, formal um, uh, neighbor to neighbor network. Okay,
Very
great.
good.
Well, thank you very much. I
Well,
appreciate your
thank you.
time.
Thank you
Thanks,
for having me.
Brandon.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, you have a great night. If there's nothing else, reach out to me. My email's on the website. I'm usually in the office if you need anything. I'm more than happy
Okay.
to sit down and have a conversation. So thank
Yeah.
Jan,
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
so
so
Thanks,
much.
it
Brandon.
sounds like
Hi,
we have to
Brandon.
put like spring schedule. So
Okay,
spring newsletter and spring sort of coordinate this for the spring
sounds good,
burning.
Jan. It will be here before we know it, I hope.
I know, I know. Meanwhile, it's deep freeze first.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, yep, got two pairs of socks on, so, all right, thank you. All
Okay,
right,
take
So,
good
care.
night. All right,
Mhm,
bye-bye now.
Jan, I'm sorry,
mhm.
I can't find the raise hand button on my screen here.
Oh,
Um,
sorry. Yeah.
Perhaps you can forward Renee's correspondence to him just so he knows the perspective we came from.
I think he did get it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and the other thing that was interesting is even Brandon, I don't think when I was doing the composting education with the fire department, they did not know about where you can take yard waste, that there was curbside pickup, so some of the firefighters, because they don't live in the township, didn't know, what was available. So I think there is kind of a information education gap there. So yeah. So yeah, it was interesting doing that education. And I have to say, there are more recycling questions than composting. Composting is relatively straightforward. Recycling is a friggin' mess. So,
By the way, Jeff, the raise hand is under that react button.
mhm,
In fact, if you click that, it brings up a whole bunch of stuff that you can do.
mhm,
Yeah, you got it.
mhm.
Thank you.
Have some fun with that once you see
Yeah.
what's there.
Of
There, see
course,
what I
the one
mean?
place I couldn't find it. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
afraid a big heart would show on the screen if I clicked it.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. Oh, I'll dare to try it. No,
All
there you
right.
go.
Aw, so cute. All right. So we don't have any public here tonight. So I guess we don't have any public comment. Just moving to the focus group updates. So we'll start with materials waste and circular economy. So then Samuel can hang out and hear the latest. And just, I know Jeff, we're very interested in that recycling thing. And I asked Samuel wants to talk a little bit about ideas for, some of the education and the outreach. I do want to say that we're up to 117 people. We had three full carts again. They're picking up tomorrow. So, that's great. That it really got used over Thanksgiving. So,
Maybe I shouldn't have told Jeff about that parking lot.
I'm
So
dangerous
when they
now.
go to the third cart, do they take one of the full ones out and then put it over by the dumpster?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And what's good is we're getting good feedback. Like, somebody had an issue. Nobody, took the snow off the top of it's open 24/7 now, by the way.
Right, right.
I've created an email that so it can come out from Scio Waste composters. So that way, Samuel, zerowaste.org could use that email. And everybody, all the contacts in that email, it's a Gmail, all those contacts are people who've enrolled in the program. I have to add another, 11 people or something. So I have to get that from Mary. There's just one email that isn't working. I don't know, but all the others seem to be fine. So we do have a way of communicating. I don't want to overuse it. Maybe a once a month kind of, informative, how well we're doing, what the stats are, et cetera. Just kind of a rah-rah kind of thing, and also ask for any feedback. And people have been giving feedback. A woman who was at the Huron River Watershed Council said she was looking for the bins. She didn't go on the website to see the picture of the storage unit, so she couldn't figure out where to drop things off. But we went out there and showed her. Mary said it was hard when there was snow on top of the waste
Oh, the
kind of
big one.
thing,
Yeah.
and it would stick and it wouldn't stay open because there was weight on it.
Mm,
So, we're kind of working through all those little things. The people, when they plowed, they didn't clear in front of the the waste container and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of, fine
There's always
tuning all of
something.
that. Yeah, but people are providing feedback, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so
And
also
still no
the
contamination or anything, huh?
the tape
Cool.
well, I there was one
Hmm.
contamination. The construction crew, we had the composting bin in the lounge, and I had brought it out for the Huron River watershed thing for so people could compost the food and stuff that we had, and they had compostable materials. They had put construction waste in it. I mean, they had the label right on top of it.
Go
So anyway,
figure.
we had to throw that out. Anyway, so that was the only contamination. No participant contamination. Yeah. So anyway, those are the tales of composting. Yeah. But so anyway, that's the stats. So maybe Sam, do you want to, I don't know if you want to hear what Jeff has to say. Do you want to go ahead? Okay, we can go to what, Jeff's composting thing and or
Okay.
recycling. Yeah.
So I spent the day in Lansing, Michigan Recycling Coalition. They are putting together a new program to complement the Master Composter, Michigan Master Composter. So this is the Michigan Master Recycler Program. And believe it or not, it's probably one of the two or three things the US government did not cut funding for. So they do have their funding, they're moving ahead with it. So they're anxious to get going and spend that money before government changes its mind. So they hosted today what they called facilitator training. So there were about 20 of us that they invited to be facilitators based on our level of experience and professional connections and such to be facilitators. In other words, what we're being asked to do is teach people to be master recyclers. So we got a manual to teach to, and we went through the manual. Now, exactly how we teach it is pretty flexible. They're leaving it up to us to see what works based on whatever your local community is, whatever your target audience is going to be. So this can be targeted at the general public. It could be tailored to schools. It could be tailored to businesses, to whatever needs our local communities may have, and tailor the training to them. So what they're looking for is about 12 hours of structured training, and that can be a flexible number of sessions, up to 6. Plus, they want some hands-on activities, say, for example, a tour of a recycling facility to be part of that. So they want some activities in there. And at the end, there is an exam, as well as 10 hours of volunteer service required, very much like for the master composter. You need to put in so many hours of volunteer service. So it's modeled like that. And the manual covers things like the basics of what recycling is, the circular economy, the benefits of recycling, regular stream materials and special materials. There is a module on food waste, on organics. There's a module on current Michigan laws and pending laws regarding recycling. And there is one on engaging the community. So they not only want people to be knowledgeable, they want master recyclers to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to engage in outreach, meet people where they are, and explain the benefits of recycling in language that they understand. So it's very much training the recyclers to present the message as well as the facts behind it all. So that's where I was today. And who also happened to be there, Jennifer Petoskey is from the solid waste of the city of Ann Arbor, and we know each other. And at the end, I said to her, well, look, if you're interested in putting a class together and we can be co-presenters, let me know. And she seemed pretty interested in that. Haven't made, that's where we left it. It was like, yes, we can consider that as a possibility. They would like us to begin training folks no later than 6 to 8 months from now. Frankly, I think Jennifer and I could put something together in a matter of weeks. It would just be a question of saying, who's our target audience? And then how do we tailor the message? And
Mhm.
then we put the modules together so that they'll be giving us some training materials as well, some basic slides that we can work with.
Mhm.
So that's where we are. And I think it would be a great vehicle for us to further reach out to our residents, those interested residents who want to know more about recycling process. So I am floating the idea that if we wanted to pitch this as a task force project, I could put a class together. We could hold the sessions at Township Hall,
Mhm.
and then we can organize something that would be local and relevant, like maybe a tour of WWRA or go to Denali and look at their compost operations. Maybe tour some of the share house facilities, things like that. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's my thought.
Interesting.
I'm interested in what you guys think.
Jeff, one thing I've heard is folks are very skeptical about priority waste recycling.
Forgive me while I laugh hysterically for a moment. Priority waste, their name came up, and it was not
Yes.
kind during some informal conversations. Priority has got, well, the city of Detroit has real issues with priority. In particular, the carts are not being delivered on time. It took weeks for them just to get carts.
Hmm.
And there are questions about how reliable they are for picking up. I know this township has had complaints about missed pickups. Frankly,
Well,
I so
mine
anyway,
isn't so much
that
the
name came up.
service. It's not the service, is
Mhm.
what is actually happening to the recycling because
Yeah,
they take everything. I mean, it's any plastic, 1 to 8 or 7 or whatever it is.
well, not
And
everything.
well, that's what they say. And I
Yeah.
mean, their website, they have that well, I shouldn't say everything, but they do not do a very good education piece if you look at their website. I mean, basically the recycling is, any plastics. It's crazy.
Hmm.
If you are voicing the concern that possibly
Yes.
the recycling is being sent to a landfill and that they're not bothering to sort or drop off, that concern has also been raised. And I think either they or GFL or possibly both were caught doing that a few years ago by another municipality. And they were threatened with breach of contract and terminating the contract if they kept it up. And from what I hear, they fixed that issue pretty quick.
Hmm.
Our township has not been as forceful with GFL and priority, and we all know the history. I will put myself on the skeptical side as well. But regardless of what priority waste does with the stuff they pick up, that does not invalidate recycling.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the state of Michigan is committed to raising its recycling rate. The target is still 50% by 2030, and we're at
Okay.
25% right now. It's growing. And I think anything we can do to encourage that is great. And if education is all we can do at the moment, fine. But if we can identify alternatives along with that, that's even better.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. No, I'm all for that. And I think we can do some things also. We have ISD in our, was there anyone there from Washtenaw County? Because they're updating their waste management plan right now.
No, there's nobody there from Warma, at least, who raised their hand and said, I'm from Warma
Okay,
or
what about
Walker
Washtenaw
County.
County though? The
No,
county?
plenty of
Really?
other counties
Okay.
were there.
Hmm.
Yeah, Emmett County
That's
was there, Kent
interesting.
County was there, Jackson County, a couple of others. Yeah,
Hmm.
but nothing from
Okay.
Washington.
That's kind of
I can
disappointing.
confirm
Yeah.
that when they're going to send out the excuse me, attendee list.
Hmm. Hmm.
But as far as I know, it was Jennifer and me and I think maybe one other person from the Ann Arbor area.
Okay. Well, I think that would be great. I think there would be, and the 2030 district would be interested in working with you on, because we have the
Hmm.
contacts with all the other municipalities and good contact with both the resiliency office, but there's also this network of organizations within the county that meets quarterly, I think. And so tapping into those groups who are already interested in collaborating, and there's probably someone from Planet Blue in the U of M too that, with their Office of Sustainability that would be interested. So that's great. Yeah. One other thing that I want to add is um, uh, it looks like the 2030 district is going to be collaborating with the University of Pittsburgh on a construction and demolition recycling research project. And that's a very specific type of um, waste issue. And so it'll be interesting because that really hasn't come up early in the 2000s. There was some work done on it, but nothing has really been done regionally, I don't think, and since then. So that'll also be kind of an interesting piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Is
Hmm.
a
that something Samuel should do? Establish those connections
With whom? I'm sorry.
with these other organizations in the county? Is that something that Zero
The
Waste Alliance can
resiliency
take on?
office is for the county
Okay.
resiliency office. Yeah.
Jen, there's a
Uh-huh.
crew of C and
Go ahead.
D interested people
Oh, yeah?
who met for years, and then ultimately decided that should be a county level issue, punted it to the county. So a number of people in Ann Arbor city government, and then a number of just like citizen
Yep.
activists.
Okay.
When you get into that, I'd be happy to put you in touch. It's
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm confused about what next steps are
Oh, for this?
to engage those folks.
Oh. Um, well, I've put together a list of people and also the folks that are planning the updating the county materials waste plan. Um, and I think it's really interesting that the only organization that I could find that has construction and demolition guidelines, design guidelines, and requirements is the University of Michigan. The city of Ann Arbor didn't
Hmm.
have any. Some of the other folks, so no one's um, actually requiring it except for the university. So part of that, I think, part of it will be kind of looking at what can be done at the county level around, guidelines, policies, ordinances that could be more on that individual townships could adopt, basically. But yeah, no one that I could find. It was only the university that had any design guidelines. Yeah. And if a project is a lead project, there's some base requirements. But again, a lot of things are elective. Yeah. And the only place, I mean, Recycle Ann Arbor now manages, the Calvert site that's in Scio Township that accepts construction.
Yes.
Yeah, and Waste Management has a complete system for tracking and so forth. Priority Waste, they were doing their metal, their scrap. They still call it scrap. It's really kind of interesting. Just their, I think Waste Management is much more on the ball as far as really looking at a cohesive waste recycling, composting, all of those things, then priority waste just seems kind of backward. You know.
All right. I'll
Anyway,
also,
yeah, Samuel, thank
I'll,
you for connecting on that. Well,
I'll share one
I'll,
additional thing from that
yeah.
meeting. One of the
Hmm.
things we did was we would break for activities, so group discussions, or be given a question and have to look things up. So one of the first activities was, how easy is it to locate recycling information in your municipality? And so at my table, I said, well, let's do Scio Township. And and we were able to find just about all the answers pretty quickly. So where, what can you recycle and what can't you recycle? Okay,
Hmm.
well, go to priority for that. They've got a chart and all of that.
Hmm.
How about, compost? And you get the food waste collection link, and then there are the other external links you can follow to like the reuse facilities and such like that. The one thing I couldn't find, I'm not sure if it's there or not, is the Sunday collection in Dexter of the styrofoam and plastic bags.
Yep, nope, it isn't. Do you want to somehow add that and we can have ask Mary to add it on our website so it's searchable somehow?
Yeah, let
Or
me
is it in Warma? Because they do the A to Z, right? Who does the A to Z? Who's in charge of
recycle Ann
that?
Arbor.
Recycle Ann Arbor? Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be because A to Z, that's sort of
Well,
the
yeah, but
main
it's City of Ann
index.
Arbor.
Hmm.
So I can look for a link and I'll see. I'm pretty sure there's something. And it's
Hmm.
one of the people who helps with that is the Dexter Township clerk.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's got
Yeah,
to be something on their website and maybe we can establish a link to it. So I'll make a note to
that'd be
do that
great.
tomorrow.
Great. Hmm. Yeah, because that's going to all build up, Jeff, to because we want to run the zero waste contest in the spring, which gets back to kind of our overall plan, Sam. And, it needs to be kind of planned around the newsletter. Um, but anyway, so Sam, do you want to go ahead and now that we've sort of taken it in multiple directions here?
No, that's great. Yeah, I think I just have a couple of I'm so excited to hear that it's at 117. I just want to get maybe lined up on just some like basic information for myself, so that when we get the contract, we can hit the ground running and go. Um, the questions that I had for this group were generally okay. I have a couple buckets. What is the what is the quantity of or like based on what has happened so far, is there how much room more is there in the pilot? What is the quantity of people that you would feel like this is really successful at?
Good question.
Hmm.
Basically, it looks like, this is our two, we've reached, and Thanksgiving may be sort of, a max, but right now we've reached what we can handle with a 2 week pickup.
Okay.
Okay. If we can maintain that, and I mean, because if I think Thanksgiving is probably a little a peak, but it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next several weeks.
Hmm.
And I mean, I wasn't thinking we would go to a every week pickup until the weather got warmer, you know,
That's great.
but, we may get there sooner. Well, so I guess, that we really didn't talk about what does success look like? So I
What do
think
you
that's a good question. What does success look like for this pilot?
is the let me just ask one more sort of step back
Hmm.
question. Is the intention that after this pilot, the next step is okay, we gotta roll this out to more locations, or we're gonna attach more funding to this? Like, is that the what is the next growth phase of the actual program intended to be, and how does this pilot connect to that, I guess is my question.
Thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah. Canton Township started with fewer than 100, and they just exploded. So the idea is, yeah, we want this to explode.
Yeah.
If we have to build another shed, put more carts out, or possibly do a second location, it's not going to be that much more for My Green Michigan to service a second pickup location. That's at least from talking to the folks there. That's what they're telling me.
Right.
In fact, we had thought about starting with 2 locations at one point.
Mhm.
Then we decided, well, start out, maybe we're better with one and see how it's going. But in my opinion, I think we've been maybe a little more successful than expected at this point in time.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. And I think the other thing that I think of is convincing. I did have a conversation with WISD, and they said our recycling has fallen off, and I need to get that under control again before we go and do something like food waste composting. So anyway, I did reach out to them. It doesn't mean that they're not interested. They just want to, and that's a good point for you because I think WISD, they get together with all the schools in the county too. So that would be, they would be an ideal facilitator for both food waste composting and recycling kind of thing.
I
Anyway,
mean, we could do a whole site just for schools, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
yep. So what in my mind, it's one reaching out to multifamily. It's also reaching out to the food waste, the food businesses, and getting information. Zach from My Green Michigan says he's all over that. He'll get us, flyer information or whatever we want to do to be able to do that. So I want I want to make it not just a resident thing, but a township kind of piece. So I have both of those things in mind. And then I want to look at policies and zoning ordinance. I don't know if it's a general law ordinance or a zoning ordinance, because we don't require people to have recycling space in their site plans or composting space in their site plans. So we need to do some ordinance updates too, because that's a big part of it is where are we going to put this stuff? Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so we're at call it 120. In a great case scenario, Thanksgiving wasn't too much of an anomaly. People were filling up a 2 week 2 week cycle pretty regularly through December and into January. We start to have discussions about, okay, how many, like if we start to push on outreach, is there a point where it's like, stop, we need to like figure out the second location, or is there like how much, I guess, how much buffer is there if success happens?
Yeah. Do we have a plan in case we're too successful? Yeah.
Well, I think it's easy enough to expand at Scio at the hall. I think
Okay.
I would want to do some more like email people, get their addresses of who's participating, and almost do a survey of where would a second location be most beneficial. And it was interesting. One of the pieces of feedback was a guy who's he loves it. He goes, "It's too bad I can't drop off my recycling because he's in a multifamily and they don't
Mm,
provide recycling, right?" Well, we have a recycling dumpster there, but it's not for general drop off. So, that could be another little, um,
yeah.
maybe it could be. I don't want to open the can of worms, but
Okay.
yeah.
But
But anyway,
we're not gonna break anything with a little more outreach in the next like month. Okay.
mm-mm. And plus Jeff says he has an extra cart that we could kind of borrow if we get really successful.
That's great.
And it wouldn't take much effort really just to put up like another one of those little sheds right next to the one that's there now. Put 2 more
Exactly.
carts in it. We doubled our
Mhm.
capacity. Boom.
Yeah.
But right. And it's the same pickup kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think I think a
Yeah.
weekly pickup is going to be important in the summer because I
Yeah.
think there'll be more of a
Yeah.
smell issue.
Yeah.
hmm hmm
Um, that's wonderful. Okay. The next thing I wanted to ask, we're closing out at 8, is that right?
Well, Yeah, eight.
Eight-ish.
We
Okay.
sometimes go to 8:30. So what I
Okay.
mean, it's more important that we deal with your yeah coordination.
My yeah, my question is, I mean, whenever I just want to be as ready as possible for when the contract hits. Would it be okay for us to do like a couple of maybe along with that survey? I think a survey is a great idea for this like locked in crew, the first people through the door, probably the most excited about it. Do a survey,
Mhm.
see where they are, see what's up, and then maybe would it be okay to offer them or have a field in that survey where we say we'd like to talk to you for 10 minutes? Because I would love to go through a couple interviews and just see like why'd you do this? Why are you doing this? Like what's important to you? What are the barriers? What like how might
Mhm.
this be easier or whatever? I think just there's nothing like face-to-face time and it doesn't have to be a ton. Like we could do 5 to 10, and I think that would be very
Feedback
helpful.
can be valuable.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, okay. Is Mary doing survey? We have survey software that we can put your logo on if you'd like. That's a low lift for us. But how would you want that survey going?
Maybe we should talk about that. Yeah, how mm, I think as long as it doesn't there aren't any privacy issues with it or we disclose whatever if you're going to keep emails or just so that it's transparent with what we're doing with the data anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I don't have a problem if you do the survey, that probably helps because Mary's busy. And as long as, we have a good understanding of, what happens with the data, et cetera. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes
and how
sense.
those contacts are used. And that's why I sort of set up the Gmail. So it was sort of a
That's great.
tweener,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And then is that something that we could run by this group in between meetings? So like, okay, here's the draft survey. Any questions? And then we send it out before the next meeting, or does that need to be approved by this group?
I think we could do that via email kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, you have your hand up.
I do. The email list that you're creating or that you have created, Jan, are you planning on using that as blind copy so that everybody doesn't
Yes, I
see
do
different?
blind copy.
Thank you.
Everything that goes out is blind copy.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I send it to PC chair. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, and then I was just taking some notes on the various in the fire conversation. I was taking notes about the various channels that you were identifying as like, okay, next door, Facebook, email, sign in front of the fire station. Are there any like big key ways that people in Scio get their, besides the newsletter, that people get their information that we should know about as we're
There's an
creating
there's
the
an
outreach plan?
informal there's an informal newsletter that a resident sends out.
Okay,
hmm The other one would be Sun Times.
sometimes okay.
Well, there you
hmm
go. Yeah.
hmm
Goodyear blimp.
What is
What's
that?
that?
The Goodyear blimp.
Good to your blimp.
Thing on the side of it.
Yeah, but the township does not have an email communication piece. I also have a few emails of HOAs and so forth that the ESTF put together a while ago. It's
Okay.
not totally.
Have you done a press release for this pilot yet?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Would Is there someone who would be a really good spokesperson? Is that you, Jan?
You can do Jeff and Charlie. They're the chairs of that focus group. Yep.
Okay.
hmm hmm
Okay, I mean that maybe is a little bit down the line, but I think
hmm Yeah.
as soon as we can, Lydia's she's a journalist, so she knows her stuff and she can put together a press release pretty quickly. And having one of you interviewed about the program would be a nice way to get it out there.
hmm
Um, okay, and then my last set of questions was around data. Do we, what is the current like waste data situation in Scio Township? Do we have tipping tonnages for landfill or recycling? And does My Green give us tonnages for compost?
I have not asked my green. I have been basically the bins have been they haven't been, they're 64 gallon
Hmm.
bins. They've been like almost to the top. So I've just been sort of saying 190 gallons.
That's
They
great.
should have those numbers. My Green Michigan
Yeah,
should have those numbers.
should they?
Yes,
Okay, I'll ask Zach.
I
I think
don't
that'll
know
be
about priority.
Okay.
okay.
hmm And Zach, I have to say, I guess the woman that we were dealing with was left, and so Zach has been the main contact, and I actually met him in person at a event, and he's just very he. Do you know Zach at My Green, Michigan? He he's great. He's all in. So I think he really wants it to be successful too. So yeah.
Jennifer McCullen, did she leave?
hmm hmm
Oh,
hmm
that's interesting. Okay.
hmm hmm Yeah, so he's in operations. So, yeah. And they just so you know, they instead of tipping ours, they went over to the county again and emptied theirs.
Yeah,
So
I remember that. Yeah.
just so I'm hoping it works tomorrow more
Whoops.
smoothly than it did last time.
So we charge the county?
hmm
Awesome.
Yep. hmm
Okay, so maybe that's a conversation we can have with him offline and just
Yeah.
because I think it would be great for storytelling to have those numbers building up.
I'll introduce you to Zach too.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Because I want to hold him to his promise of putting together stuff for businesses and so forth. So there's pricing because everybody, it's always, well, what is it going to cost? They don't want to
Hmm.
have a conversation with you. If, yeah, it isn't for the good of the whole, it's how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
Do you
Now,
think it would be valuable if we had a representative from them maybe talk to us sometime, one of our meetings? If they do that
Oh,
kind of
Zach,
thing?
I'm sure
Yeah.
Zach would come. Yeah,
From what
we
you're
could do that.
describing, it sounds like he would do that.
I think you would.
Might be something to think about.
Hmm
that's great. I think that's all my questions. Is there okay, I know with government entities, it's important to make sure things are accessible to all residents. There is a dynamic that I was thinking through where the closer you are to the drop-off point, the less of a hassle it would be to actually do the thing that we're asking people to do. Is it is it potentially okay to give a little bit of extra love to neighborhoods right up next to the drop-off point so that we can ideally give the people with the least activation energy uh the best chance of getting to the drop-off?
I don't
Or
know how we target those.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, we could do flyering, we could do just like stuff,
mhm,
signage in particular spots that they might be, or
mhm, mhm.
call them,
Yeah, it could do.
call
And there
homework.
are, I mean, we have not, on Zeb Road, we haven't put up any signage or anything about
Hmm.
the drop off, thing. So, um, it's basically signs are up at City Hall. Now, the advantage is a lot of people come in and pay their tax bills in person. And
Right.
so that sign and the flyers and everything are out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Or even
Now,
like
if I remember correctly, when we did the original survey, getting people to sign up for this, there was a question about what general area they lived in the township. And there was also another question about how far they would go to do a drop off. So
Yeah.
maybe that could kind of guide us to what Sam's, you know, talking about.
Yeah.
So,
And so
Well,
I'll have to pull up that survey data.
yeah, but Jan, the
Yeah.
the uh, the township itself identifies how to contact people by how close they are to a property that's going to be developed,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
notification. So,
We could do it. Yeah, it's a query, through the GIS, basically. Yeah.
yep,
So we could identify those within a mile of, so it would
these
just be
roads.
the
Yeah,
budget to send that send that information out.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's right. You can get the associated property owner address information. Yes.
That's super smart, Bob. Thank you. And then I'm thinking
Mhm.
like Scio Community Church, Daycroft School, like places that people are driving to anyway. And if we do signage there or outreach there, people might be able to just add a little stop. So we're not making
Hmm.
too much of an ask for the early
Hmm.
crew.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kiwanis.
Gowanus, there you go.
Yeah, they would help promote it.
They absolutely would. Yep.
Kiwanis might draw more people out of Scio Farms too,
Mhm.
since
Yep.
they're
Yeah,
basically
what about
across the
Scio
street from
Farm,
us.
Charlotte? I mean, will they promote any of this?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to the office and see what they think about it.
Or allow promotion. Can you put notices up in a congregating area? I don't know if there is such a thing
Yes,
that,
we can do them at the mail centers.
ah,
Okay. So I think that strategy for Scio Farms and also contacting, there aren't that many multifamily, Lakestone and a couple others. The Touchstone and all the co-ops, they all know about it. They're actually using us for their food waste at their dinners when they have their community dinners. So, yeah, that's cool.
It's great. Okay, those are my big questions. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks
Thank
for,
you.
yeah. So, intro to Zach and get the survey results and
Do you have a
yeah, if you
timeline
just bring,
on the contract? Do you know what the
you know what, I'm gonna ask her just, geez, oh, Pete, get it out or give you a letter of intent and you can go, you know? It's like,
Yeah, I'm
oh
ready.
God. I have to
I,
say, you guys, part of what's been tying her up is you remember Aubrey's Grove, the 5 acre site that it was approved by the Planning Commission. It's just by right development. It was denied by Board of Trustees. Well, it sounds like they took them to court. It sounds like they're going to purchase that 5 acre parcel for about $1.5 million. Yeah, that's yeah. So anyway, yeah. Meanwhile, we're $240,000 short for public transit. So,
Hmm.
mm, yeah. Anyway,
Well,
so
according
it's
to David
always
Reed,
this.
according to
What's
David
that?
Reed, we got a bargain because the costs of court and everything else and a settlement would have
Oh
been
yeah. Oh no, that settlement is yeah, right. Yeah, definitely settle now because it would nobody would win but the attorneys.
And they charge by the word. Yeah.
I thought, attorneys now, what are they charging? $2,000 an hour sometimes. It's just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Okay, enough. We're going way off course here.
Hmm.
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel. Um,
easy.
I think, let's see, the only other thing I want to say is we did get, I was able to get some things in the capital improvement cycle for that included EV charging, trying to look at fleet, figuring out fleet decarbonization. What were some of the other things? I forget. There was one other item. In any event, starting to put some of the decarbonization strategies into the capital improvement planning. I just wanted to say that. Bob, do you want to talk about the watershed, kind of
sure.
moving on to, yeah, the the workshop?
Yeah, we had our green infrastructure workshop on December 1st, and Jeff and Jan and I were there among 20, 25 other people from the township, something like that.
Hmm.
And the Watershed Council brought, well, first of all, they told everybody what they were expecting to do and that evening, and then they set us up on maps of the township that showed where our parks and preserves and all of our natural areas were, and then they had maps of what their bioreserve areas in our township were, and then they had the township residents who were there draw outlines around the important features of the township, and then they overlapped the maps, and then they had everybody try to see what perhaps had been forgotten that were left out of the bioreserve areas, or are there any particular pieces of the township that are important for connecting the islands of the reserves that are still in existence because they're fragmented. So we had quite a thorough um, going over of the township by mapping, and then the Watershed Council is going to take those results and compile it into one clean map and make some recommendations in a report back to the the planning commission, or is it to us,
Yeah, it's
Jan?
Planning Commission.
Yeah,
Hmm.
to the planning commission, and then the planning commission will. I'm assuming that from here that the planning commission will uh, discuss it and perhaps modify the report, and then pass it on to as recommendations for what we should do to the board of trustees. So we have to take what has already been worked on in the green infrastructure workshop and modify it a bit so that we can then go forward with ordinance updates, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So the open
Yeah, and
ordinance
it
will be the first
and
target.
yeah, open ordinance, and then if there are any master plan kind of changes, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
It was quite a
yeah, I
day,
think they
quite an
were
evening.
pleased with the turnout. It seemed like they were. Um,
They were. They said
so
anything more than the number we had would have been hard to manage. So I would like to have seen more people, but
Sorry,
and there weren't many online. But
who is the
go
lady
ahead.
running it, Bob? I'm drawing a blank on her name.
oh, Kate.
Kate. She said we were the most engaged group she's ever dealt with. She loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Scio is engaged.
Hmm.
That's an advantage we have. Okay. Yeah, the other thing I
What else
wanted
do
to
you want to?
just, yeah,
Whoops.
no, I think that's a perfect summary. That's great. Looking forward to, it's going to come at a really good time as we look at the open ordinance and the master plan and that kind of thing. So
Yep.
that's helpful. It's just a friggin' long process.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I want to just let people know, and Kathy was at the meeting today, is the first thing that the Multimodal Transportation Committee is dealing with is the shortfall between the millage and our contract costs and projected contract costs with Wave and, well, it's with AAATA, and Wave is a subcontractor to that. So there's about a $250,000 deficit.
Mm.
um, yeah, and that a lot of that, you know, um, I have to say that I'm not thrilled with the collaboration of AAATA with Wave. Um, anyway, I'll leave it at that. But Marie from Wave is incredibly creative, where AAATA is, well, we can't do that. It's always we can't. And a lot of that is I feel like I don't know, just the way they operate and the way they have to operate because of the federal funds and so forth. They have a lot of constraints. So I even though I feel like it's no, 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 I think they do have a lot of constraints that they have to work within. So, um, but I was feeling more positive today with some of the creative ideas that Marie was coming up with. She's the executive director for Wave. So anyway, and the idea of how to be more focused and really understand data. Wave has incredible data. Weren't you impressed with all that data, Kathy? Did you look at that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost overwhelming.
I mean, they know where, who, and what's very interesting is the ridership in Scio. A smaller percentage of it is seniors than you might think, and about a little more than half of the seniors have disabilities. But we have a pretty good ridership of folks that aren't seniors and don't have disabilities. Interesting. And a lot of it's the commuting kind of thing. And a lot of it's focused along the Jackson Road corridor and around commuting times. Kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Samuel. I appreciate it. Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
May I,
yeah,
oops,
go
may
ahead.
I, okay, may I add about, I met with Shasta yesterday. We're kind of planning out the year, how we can promote use of the transit systems um, over the coming year. So what we're going to be doing is we are working with Ken over at AAATA, and he enjoys doing this too. Um, what we tried last year, Charlie saw the one where nobody came, but we are going to do it again this year, but with better preparation in advance, better advertising, working this through. What we would like to do is show up in the spring or early summer to each of the multifamily housing facilities and teach them about how to use the bus, how to use both systems, how they interconnect, whatever the system is doing at that point after this morning's meeting, I'm not sure, but we'll have to figure that out. But the thought was maybe we can get in there and set up an enjoyable meeting with snacks and things and just sort of introduction to public transit. If you live in this facility, this is what you can do with it, this is how you use it, all of that, and just give them ways to contact people if they have questions, and then just plan to do it every year, spring, early summer, because of the turnover of people and the change in the programs themselves. And
Hmm.
that also gets Shasta and Ken working together and more communication going between the two systems. So we'll be doing that. And the other thing we would like to do, it's really my project, is set up a transit advocacy group, or maybe even just multimodal transportation advocacy group that's outside of the government. And Shasta's going to talk to Mary about putting something in the newsletter about all the things that we're doing, but particularly about if you'd be interested in being a committee to talk about what your priorities are, to push for things, um, comments that you have, things we could do to improve transit. We're going to have quarterly meetings, and we already set a date for one in late February out at the Wave offices with pizza and pop and just an hour-long meeting to just sort of get people brainstorming. If we can get people to show up, and we're going to try to advertise it very well in advance. So,
Yeah.
the thought.
I'm thinking some of the major employers in Scio, it might be good to kind of see if there are some employees or employers that might want to participate in that. And I would circle into ISD too. And I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, there should be stats on who are the larger employees. I think SEMCOG might even have those stats that, yeah, so that you're dealing with the businesses too, because they can promote. There might be some things that they could do
Right,
to promote,
right.
um, and they may not know how things work, etc.
Well, yeah,
Because I'm surprised that the fire department didn't know about,
I know. Well,
yard waste.
Shasta's telling me that Scio Township is the only municipality that they work with that there's nobody, no private businesses or nonprofits or anything that are buying reduced fare tickets and giving them to employees or clients or whatever. Like
Mhm.
Hmm.
they've got a lot of social workers out in Chelsea and I think in Dexter as well that will give out free and reduced tickets, to people so that they can use the Wave bus if they need it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why don't we have the medical facilities here doing that to certain patients?
Like IHA, right?
Right.
And what I think, does Alpha House provide free
She
transit for their
she
folks?
she they don't, and she was not even aware of them. So I'm going to go make contact with them
Hmm.
since I have some connection with them. So I will go over there and she says we're just going to feel them out. What do you need, and how
Mhm.
can we help you? And this is what
Mhm.
we offer, kind of thing.
What
But
about the what about the U of M facilities that are
yeah, the U of
uh,
M medical facilities as well.
yeah.
Going to get a U of M contact. I can do both. Actually, I can do the medical center, Michigan Medicine, and the academic, because they kind of had two different. It's kind of they're one but two.
Right.
Um, and get some contacts. Marie asked about that, and I think I can get them to the right people.
Hmm.
Because they subsidize the transit on AAA.
Hmm.
It's free for any Michigan cardholder.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so we're just trying to find ways to increase and improve the usage of it.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Um, I did, both Janine and Molly contacted me. I did meet with Molly, and we do have, we're working on a newsletter article for the winter that has to do with climate smart, healthy resolutions for the new year, which talk about many different elements of sustainability and how it relates to health and things that you can do to get a better start to the year. And what we decided on is, I have to say, the newsletter is really constrained just because we've got, let's see, in the newsletter, we've got the health piece, compost program update, and then I wanted to do the Huron River Watershed Council, kind of just a little piece on that. There was one other thing. So little snippets of things, so Molly's going to also develop health content for our ESTF website. So by the time the newsletter comes out, there's also, it's more like teasers that are in the newsletter to get you to go to the website where you can have more full content. And hopefully that'll also drive more people to the website for resources and content and so forth. So that's sort of our strategy.
Is that where we're going to put the fire department's rules and
I was
regulations
just
So
thinking of
actually,
that,
section?
it's
Bob.
a link to that. Yeah, a link to
Yeah.
that. Because we want the ordinance stuff on the firefighters website. We don't want it on ours, but we do want, yeah,
Perfect, right.
that,
The
yeah.
the snippet that'll take them there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
And for what Shasta and I are working on, she says she's been working with Mary about getting transportation articles in with every newsletter. So she'll be doing that anyway for the newsletter that comes out in February.
Great.
And she is going to put in it a little, what do you call it? The little thing you scan. So you can,
Yeah, QR code.
the QR code. She's putting in a QR code that will go to a little survey for people that are interested in joining this committee,
Mm. Hmm.
where they can just put in their contact information. So she says she knows how to do that in a safe and
Hmm.
secret way, so that it's not, so that it's private. So
Okay,
anyway,
great.
we're working from
All
there.
right. Cool. All right. Yeah, I think that was it. I calendared our meetings for next year. The next one will be January 8th. We won't meet on the first. And just same time, there will be a new link. So if you guys, keep using so this will be the last one for this link. There'll be a new Zoom link for all of next year.
And Dan,
Yeah.
did you want to, I know we've talked about 6 o'clock being the start time for the Board of Trustees and for the Planning
Oh,
Commission.
I don't know. What do people wanna? I mean, we tend to not go very long. I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted to start early, but I don't know what people think.
I like 7 o'clock myself, but
Yeah.
I
Yes.
do too. You can have dinner before.
Mhm.
that's why I like it for the Planning Commission too.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for bringing that up, Bob. Yeah. So we'll stay at 7. Don't have any other public here. Approval of minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Thank you again, Kathy.
I had one that I don't remember being the one that made a comment. I was sort of thinking it was you, Jan. Um, let's see, where was that? It, it credited me, and I thought it would be better to have credited you, but it's the bullet for. Bob reported that the city of Ann Arbor's new Blue Belt program had opened up opportunities. Now, wasn't that you that brought that up?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So,
fine.
other than that,
Okay.
All right. So are we good with approving our minutes? All
with that
those
change,
signify by
I
whatever. All right. Good. We're good by consensus then with that change. Okay, thanks, Bob. Um, any other announcements other than I put the newsletter schedule in so we can keep that up and anything else? All right. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday and don't forget to bring all your food waste.
bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jan.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Good
Jeff,
night.
that's so cool that you're doing the recycling thing too. I just think, I mean, that network and what we can do is perfect. I
Mhm.
mean, it fits in. And especially if we do, for the spring newsletter, we have to figure out the zero waste kind of contests that we want to do. I mean, recycling is key to that too.
Mm.
And maybe we can get BYOC to, participate in some way in that too. And the reuse, which reminds me, I've got to get an intern to do that map, of all the reuse and stuff, you know, mapping for Scio, just like we did for the farms. So if you'd probably be a good resource for them to collaborate on for that. Because, it's one thing to have a link for them. It's another thing to go to a map and see, all the places on a map. To me, well, maybe that's me, but it it it's I don't know, more helpful, I think, than just having a list. So, okay. Well,
Perfect.
thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.